Forager, a game where you start stranded on a tiny island with nothing but a pickaxe. Through gathering resources, farming, completing NPC quests and buying new land, we can turn this into our own industrial empire where we become stinking rich. Hello everybody, this is GamerGar and I played 100 days of Forager. The only goal I have is to complete as much of the game as possible. But before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss one of my uploads. Let's get straight into it. I begin stranded on a small square island. There are little resources around, but I begin to gather what I can. There's a few bits of stone, a few berries and a few trees. There's also a bit of iron. Starting off with just a pickaxe, I'm lucky I can harvest everything with it. The first thing I decide to build is a furnace. Luckily, it only costs a few stone. I decided to place it up in the left hand corner of the island. When I open it, all I can make is coal right now. So I craft some coal from the wood that I've gathered. Luckily, it only costs 2 wood per coal. Using my skill points I've acquired so far, the first thing I'm going to unlock is the industry. This allows me to unlock steel, glass and gain XP from building structures. The next thing I unlock is magic. Who doesn't want a bit of magic? Which gains 25% more XP. Some gold ore has spawned here in the top corner, so I placed a little bridge so I'm able to harvest it. I've now gathered enough resources to be able to place a forge, so I place it here next to the furnace. I've leveled up again, so it's time to spend my skill points. This time I select economy. This instantly gives me 40 coins, and forges now create 4 extra coins every time, which is brilliant. I suspect this will be handy for me later. Next, I'm going to unlock foraging. This will allow cotton, wheat and beets to begin spawning on the map. With those 40 coins that I got from unlocking economy, I can now afford a new plot of land beside my little island. The new land I bought has some fairies that allow me to regenerate some stamina and also contain the first NPC I'm going to encounter in the game. There are also some coal veins that I can mine to save me crafting it at the furnace. It's then time to have a good old chat with the big fairy. And this fairy advises that she will let me use the power of her fairies if I give her a whopping 1,000 gold coins. Now I only have 10 gold coins at the moment, so this fairy is going to have to wait until I've amassed enough money to obtain her perks. With my next level I unlock Gathering, where again 4 extra inventory slots gain 25% additional XP from plants and crops. At the forge I'm able to craft a basic shovel. This will allow me to dig up dirt, crops and even find items using the shovel. I'm also able to find sand and I'll be able to get rare gems like emeralds, and gold will also spawn when digging holes. My stamina is really low, so I harvest some beets and I'm going to craft some glass here in the furnace. I leveled up again and decided this time I would unlock fishing. This unlocks fishing rods and now fishing traps will work 50% faster. I also decided to place some fishing traps just along the edge of my island here so that I'm able to catch some fish, which will be really useful for food. The next thing I'm going to do is craft a sewing station. This can be used for crafting thread and leather. Since I had the resources, I decided to plant some more fishing traps. From the fibre I've gathered so far, I'm going to craft some thread at the sewing station. I'm also going to mine up some gold ore, which takes ages with my current pickaxe, so we will need to upgrade that as quickly as possible. My inventory seems to be full right now, so I can't pick up the thread from the sewing machine. I'm going to need a bigger backpack. I do gather some fish here from my fishing traps and I've gained another level. I can now unlock vaults from the storage skill, which means now I have extra room where I can store things. Back to the furnace now and it's time to craft some steel so I can build a vault. When I have it crafted, I'm going to build a vault and place it beside the sewing machine. I've gathered a few more berries, so I place 2 more fishing traps in the water. I then gather a few more items and I reach level 10. I have 2 skill points to spend, so firstly I'm going to select hunting. This will unlock arrows and enemies will now drop coins when they're killed. This means more money for me. It's going to come in real handy when it's time to buy more land as well. The second skill I unlock is carpentry. This unlocks carpentry stations and structures now cost 25% less wood. I am now going to craft some cooked fish and I'm just going to hit the max button here and this will allow me to craft 11 in total. The cooked fish will hopefully give me a much higher amount of stamina back than the beets that I've been using up until now. I'm going to place a few more fishing traps because fish is going to be my main source of food for the moment. I'm also going to use a glass jar here to catch a torch bug, and now I have a bottled torch bug. That night I encountered my first enemy. I start getting attacked by a skeleton, but I soon take him out with my trusty pickaxe. At the zone station I'm able to craft myself a small backpack. This will give me 4 new inventory slots once it's crafted. I'm going to place a carpentry table and then I'm going to unlock sewing in the skill tree. This unlocks leather and sewing stations now work 25% faster. I encounter more skeletons again the next night, but lucky for me, they drop a nice bit of gold and we need all the gold we can muster at the moment. From this gold I gathered, I can now unlock another plot of land. I unlock this one here to the left of my starting island, which contains a large chest. I attempt to open it and it tells me I need a key. That night a chicken spawned and when I pressed E, he produced an egg. I decided to kill him of course and take the meat. I'm sure there'll be more chickens down the road. At the forge I'm able to craft that key. Once it's crafted, I opened the big red chest. The first big chest of the game, I managed to get an item called the Nerdy Glasses. These give me a really cool perk where all XP gained increases by 20%. I wasn't going to say no to that. I've leveled up a few more times. It's time to unlock combat, which unlocks swords and gives me a bonus of 1 attack damage. Then I unlock renewal. This allows me to recover energy when killing enemies. And finally I'm going to unlock cooking. This unlocks cooking pots, sugar, mayo and cheese. I found a wandering cow, so I killed him so that I can get some hide. I really needed hide at the moment. While crafting a few bits, I received the Hoarder reward for having more than 1,000 items in my inventory. Luckily now I'm able to craft a slime sword so I can fight enemies without needing to use my pickaxe. I'm going to place another 2 forges so I can craft multiple items at a time. First I need to craft some coal here. I'm also going to craft some gold ingots. My slime sword is now ready, which deals 1.5 attack damage and it also deals damage in a wide arc. From killing enemies I am now able to ford another plot of land. This plot of land contains giant beets, so I decided to make a bridge so that I can go over and have a look. I really hope they don't attack me because they are quite big. These two look very friendly indeed. I approached the big one and decided to talk to him. He decided to say that I am amazing and that he loves me. What a sweet beat. A raging bull also spawned on the island, but I'm going to make short work of that with my new sword. This giant beat is still throwing me compliments, saying I'm his favourite person in the history of ever. For some reason I didn't trust him. It's time to take the beats out. I hit him with my pickaxe and they all beg me to stop. Before you know it, the big one is gone and I'm granted with 30 beats. Nice one indeed. I can't leave any witnesses of course, so all the beats have to go. So I now have to take out these little friends. They all beg me to stop. But all of these lovely beats I am getting is just too good to pass up, and I'm sure I will meet more lovely beats down the road. When they're all gone, I got a reward titled Monster for killing all the giant beats. As a reward I unlocked a skin with bleeding eyes. I'm also going to spend more skill points here, and this time I choose the alchemy skill. This will allow me to place cauldrons. I also have enough to buy a new plot of land just beneath me. When I do, I get the Expansionist award for owning 5 pieces of land. After killing the slime that attacked me, I ventured down to my new plot of land and find an obelisk. Now, when I click on it, it reveals it's a foraging obelisk. This allows me to gain bonus XP when gathering herbs and crops. The buff I received lasts for the whole 10 minutes, but it'll give me plenty of time to harvest all of the resources on my island. I now have another skill point to spend. This time I'm going to select the Gluttony skill. This gives me the perk of gaining 20% additional energy from eating food, and I also get XP when I eat food as well, which is pretty cool. Back to the forge now to craft some more iron ingots. One of my fishing traps produced an anchor. I'm not sure what this is used for right now, but I'm going to hold on to it just in case. I imagine it will have a use later. I got attacked by a raging bull. These guys are really handy for collecting hide. They certainly drop way more than the cows do. This time I decided to unlock banking with my skill points. This will allow me to unlock banks, and banks will generate gold for me. As my furnace is working away, I received the Smelter Award for crafting 500 items in my furnace. I'm starting to run out of inventory space again though, so I need to build some more vaults. As the lands expand, I'm encountering more and more items that need sorting. It's now time to place myself down a bank so I can start generating more gold. I found an amethyst while digging and I received a gemologist award for having one of each type of gem. Skeletons have decided to attack me along with yet another raging bull. Using the cooked fish greatly regenerates my stamina. I'm glad these are spawning because I'm going to need a lot of leather going forward. And just there I get attacked by your sneaky slime that's hiding behind the forge. Good thing I spotted it before it killed me. I'm going to place a second bank and another vault, and when I do I receive the Mason Award for building 20 structures, which is pretty cool. I'm also going to unlock farming next, which unlocks windmills and it also unlocks sprinklers. This means I can start planting crops, which is going to be pretty cool. We can make some farms now if we want. I'm also going to unlock the craftsmanship skill. This will give me access to the hammer and I can use that to repair my structures. From killing slimes and collecting torch bugs, I can now craft a slime pickaxe with my first pickaxe upgrade. I got another reward also for digging up 50 items. My slime pickaxe is ready and it deals 1.5 attack damage, and also resources and plants have a chance to drop slime. From the money that my banks have generated, I'm able to buy another plot of land which contains a new building. I entered the new building to find that it is a museum. I talked to the NPC within, who informs me that the collections are rather lacking at the moment. They also say feel free to help them complete the bundles. Stardew Valley never seems to feel very far away. I'm going to check out the farming bundle here to see what it requires, and the first donation that I put in are 50 beets. Since I have a lot of stone in my inventory, I decided to add 50 stone to the mining bundle. I also got tagged by another slime while foraging and I destroyed that one, getting myself the Destroyer Award for killing 100 enemies. I also reached level 20, and through harvesting forageables and killing enemies, I got another reward for playing the game for 3 hours. This award was called Addicted. It is now time to place down a windmill, so I chose to place it on this quiet empty plot of land. I can now place sprinklers close by as well. I only have resources to make one sprinkler right now, so I'm going to place this and I'll focus on getting more later on. I'm also going to craft some berry seeds so that I will have more resources to make more fishing traps. I'm also going to dig around my sprinkler here so I can plant them when they're ready. First though, I've got to kill this annoying slime. Because I had the slime sword, it just took a few swings, which was pretty nice. My character says here, for some reason, if I had a way to water my crops they would grow much faster. I'm pretty sure that's what the sprinkler is for. I'm going to plant my berry seeds and hopefully they won't take too long to grow. After a few days, I've gathered enough resources to plant a few more sprinklers. I've also planted both cotton and berries in my little garden plot. I decided to purchase the land beside me here. I'm also very curious as to what the rainbow can do. I also learned the prowess skill next, so my farming structures will now work 25% faster, and this is going to come in real handy as I'm trying to get lots of seeds from the windmill. I'm also going to get another skill here that allows me to eat minerals and gems. I don't know if I'll ever be hungry enough though to eat rocks. Next up, I'm going to put down a cooking pot, and this will allow me to start making some recipes. With all the fish and seaweed I've collected from my fishing traps, I decided to craft some good old sushi. This will give me even greater stamina and health regains. So I'm also going to plant some weeds now, and it's also time to harvest. Harvesting with the pickaxe is very time consuming. I hope I find a better way to do this in the future. I also got the award here for watering 100 seeds. I feel like I would have gotten this one after 2 days in Stardew Valley. I somehow got Harvester Award for planting 100 seeds after the award for watering 100 seeds. The next thing, I've heard an explosion. It turns out a giant star had fallen from the sky. I hit it with my pickaxe a few times and I got a star fragment. Next, I'm going to place a cauldron beside the cooking pot. This will give me access to making good old bombs. I'm finding it very hard at the moment to gather enough wood for everything that I need, so it's time to use a very familiar strategy and plant a tree farm. Trees in Forager, unlike Stardew Valley, need to be planted by sprinklers to ensure that they are watered. Once they're fully grown, it's time to pull out my pick and start chopping down some trees. This amount of trees should surely be enough wood to keep me going for the next while. It seems it doesn't matter what game you play, the basic resources are the ones that you'll always need. Once I've got the whole forest chopped down, I decided to plant even more trees. This will make sure that I won't run out anytime soon. The next skill I unlock is the management skill. This means items can now be sent directly to the vault from my inventory. But we are not going to stop there. I'm also going to unlock another skill, and this one is called Trade, and this will allow me to place down markets. Very exciting indeed. I now have enough money assembled where I can purchase another piece of land. Now, this piece of land contains 4 pillars. From looking at the pillars, it seems to be a puzzle, so I'm going to select the pillars based on the number of notches on the very top. Starting with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. And this spawned a giant chest, which is pretty cool. I'm going to have to craft a key for this chest so I can open it. Once it was ready to be opened, I was granted with a really cool item here. It was called the Top Hat. This means coins are now worth 50% more, which is pretty cool. The more multipliers we can get, the better. Because of that, I'm going to place another bank so I can gather even more coins. The next piece of land that I unlocked was the first of the desert biome. It appears my inventory is full yet again, so it's time to get another backpack upgrade. This time I'm going to unlock the medium backpack, and this will add 4 more inventory slots. Something really cool happened today. One of the chickens roaming around the place dropped a golden egg. I'm going to hold on to this for now because I need it for one of the museum bundles. I also came across a wandering trader. They showed up with a few items to sell, but I couldn't afford any of the items right now. The next skill I'm going to unlock here now is manufacturing, and this will allow me to build some factories. The next thing I'm going to do is craft the hammer. This means I can now repair any structures that have been damaged. Most of the damage caused to my structures so far has been me by hitting them accidentally. And the reason for this is that sometimes when I go to strike something, I'm slightly just outside of the hitbox for what I was trying to harvest. Not to worry though, the hammer will save me. I crafted some animal feed and gave it to the cow. It really caused him to poop a lot. Now I have loads of poo in my inventory. It surely has some use though. I'm going to craft a gold pickaxe now, and this will give me 2 attack damage, and resources and plants can now drop coins. What I really like about this game is that when you upgrade a tool such as your pickaxe or your sword, the previous perks carry over. Each of my vaults now has over 200 gold, so I decide to cash in so I can pay the fairy queen in the fountain to get the power of her fairies. I need to hand over 1,000 gold to get the fairy helper award. She's also going to give me a really nice chest here as well, but I need a key to unlock the chest. Once opened, I'm granted with the aura, which provides me with a passive health and energy regeneration. That is very potent indeed. The area around the museum has become very overgrown. I decided to test out some bombs to see how effective they are at clearing all of the resources. With my next level, I gain the treasury skill. Now, this skill will allow coins to generate 50% faster when adjacent to another bank. Going forward, I'll need to ensure that all of my banks are beside each other so that they can all avail of this perk. Next, I'm going to unlock masonry, which unlocks masonry tables and braziers. Structures will also cost 50% less stone and brick. It's now time to enter the structure that spawned in the desert biome. When I entered, I realised it was a puzzle, and the solution was posted above the door before you entered. I used my phone to take a photo of this, and when I moved to the electric blocks and activated the necessary pylons, I was then rewarded with not 1, but 5 fabulous chests. The 4 little ones contained money and gems, which I didn't have space for in my inventory. So I decided to open them all and then opened the big chest. When I did, I received the Ancient Galaxy Seal for completing the Ancient Galaxy puzzle. I also received 1 heart container, which I added 1 heart to my max health. That was really nice indeed. The more health we have, the better survivability we have, and I'm sure these heart containers will come in super handy later on. It's time to unlock a new area just beside my windmill here, and this revealed a new NPC with another new quest. I did purchase the land beside the museum, which looked like it may have another obelisk. I still had some money to spare, so I also bought a 3rd plot of land, which looks like it may have another puzzle. So I spoke with the NPC and he claims I was just the person he was looking for. He says natural resources are being exploited by a little jerk with a pickaxe, and he is looking for me to bring 2 torchbugs so he can keep them safe from harm. Luckily, I had 8 in my inventory, so I was able to give him 2 no problem at all. As a result, he gave me some scrolls as a reward. I was also rewarded with the Druid Helper award. It looks like he still have another question for me though. He says resource exploitation is still going rampant, so he's looking for some tree saplings so that he can save the forest. I made my way over to the little island with all the flowers, and I had a look at the sign here. It states, there's a secret where the flowers don't live. Of course, with all the land that I had purchased, it didn't take me too long to figure out what location to go to and where to start digging. I took out my shovel and dug up every space that didn't have a flower, and when I dug up the 4 spots here in the top right hand corner, I was awarded with a big chest. This granted me the lantern, which provides better visibility when it's dark. This is a game changer right here. This would come in real handy at night time. I crafted a few more tree saplings and was able to give them to the druid. And apparently I have saved the forest from those guys with the pickaxes. Little does he know, I'm that jerk with the pickaxe. Either way, he granted me another chest. Inside I was awarded a spirit orb. Spirits can be used to increase stats like health, stamina and attack power. I spoke to the dude once more, and his final quest for me, he's looking for a rare dinosaur egg. Now, he's looking for the egg so he'll be able to raise it and protect it. Unfortunately, I don't have a dinosaur egg just yet. I haven't come across one yet, so I'll just have to come back to him on that one. I decided to enter his house to see if there was anything interesting inside. He did have a closet where I could change my clothes. I also picked this cool gamer hat that looks like a retro Game Boy. After spending another skill point now, I selected the prospecting skill. This means rocks have a 10% chance of dropping gems, and they also increase my chance of finding gems by 30%. I finally upgraded to the golden sword, which deals 2 attack damage, and slain enemies now drop coins. Once I placed down my 2 banks, I then received an achievement here called Hoarder for having more than 5,000 items in my inventory. I then went to the desert biome and I encountered some new enemies here that shot lasers at me. We just had to be careful to not be in their line of sight for too long. They also dropped steel, which was really useful. I also decided to make a factory because I learned this some time ago but actually haven't placed one just yet. It was now time to purchase some new lands. This meant new opportunities and new quests to do. I also unlocked the fishing rod and I can use this to fish for treasure. I also crafted the slime wallet. With the slime wallet, coins are now worth 25% more. I also unlocked ballistics, which allows me to place ballistas, and bows now shoot 3 arrows at once. I then made a bridge and went up into this little island covered in spikes. Once I destroyed the skeleton, the spikes disappeared, and I got a really cool achievement here called Champion. The reward was a Hollow Knight costume, and that was really cool because Hollow Knight is one of my favourite games. Each of the small chests awarded me with a spirit orb each. From hoarding items, I ended up with 100 poop in my inventory, and I received the disgusting award and a poop hat. The next skill I had to pick was looting. This means enemies and bosses will drop 50% more loot. I've gathered a good few spirit orbs at this stage, so I decided it was time to use them. I permanently upgraded my health, then a permanent stamina increase and also a permanent damage increase. I used a few more to give myself a few more health increases as well. But the fun doesn't stop there. I destroyed a big skeleton and got rewarded with 2 more chests with more spirit orbs inside. My banks have been working away so I can buy even more land now. On the land I bought, I ran into a princess. She says her name is Anna Banana. She claims it's quite difficult to be a princess in the desert and that she's upset that no flowers grow there. So she's looking for me to give her 40 flowers in total. Luckily, I had more than 40 flowers in my inventory, so I handed them over straight away. She then says that she hopes I like animals and that she's going to give me something that will help me find them. She dropped 2 potions that I presume work with animals. Now she wants me to make some new clothing because I helped her out, but she needs me to get her materials for them first. That's just typical, of course. Luckily, I had all the materials she needed in my inventory, so I handed them over and I was rewarded with another large chest. Super excited by this, I'm going to go craft a key for that straight away. Once I opened up the chest, I was rewarded with a pink bow. And this means animals will drop 25% more resources and spawn much more often. It was now time to go back into the museum. I can donate a few items now like sushi and soup and some kebabs. I went back to the desert biome and I dug up my first archaeology item here, which was a sphinx. I'm sure I'll need this for one of the bundles in the museum. I also gained a skill here called Deposit. This unlocks quarries and I figured out what the rainbow is used for as well. Well, when I say I figured it out, what I really mean is that I managed to bottle the rainbow, but I still wasn't sure what to do with the bottled rainbow just yet. With the gold I've accumulated so far, I decided I was going to purchase a few pieces of land. Over in the desert biome, I ran into another NPC here. This NPC gives the famous line, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." The NPC then proceeded to throw some poop at me. I don't think this guy is the whole 10 cents, to be honest. It was then time to start a quest with this NPC, and he opens up with, "My bird friend told me about the existence of a golden egg. In all my years, I've never seen one." Thankfully for him, we've seen a few. I would sure like to though. So this quest obviously is to give this guy a golden egg. Thankfully, we had 2 here in total, so we're going to give him 1 golden egg. Then he says, "This is surprisingly underwhelming. It won't hatch into a lovely bird friend. And I can't even eat it. These are the only purpose of an egg." Upon completion, he gives me a red chest, which was very helpful indeed. I needed a key, however, to open this chest, so it was back to the main base to craft a key and to see what we're going to get inside. Upon opening the chest, we are rewarded with another spirit orb. I decided to use a bomb here to destroy all of the resources on this small little island. I totally forgot that if you destroy tombstones, skeletons spawn from them. 20 skeletons approximately spawned up to try and kill me. Fortunately, I managed to kill them all, no issues at all. I also got a reward for killing 3 or more skeletons with 1 single sword slash. I also spoke to a new goblin NPC here, and he's not very impressed that skeletons are spawning from the tombstones. He wants me to eradicate all of the skeletons and bring their bones back to him as proof. Luckily, I had actually killed all of the skeletons already, and I gave him the bones to get an award. I also got a giant chest. This time from the chest I received a cool item known as the Skull Key, and this key will allow me to open up any treasure without a key going forward. So this is going to come in super handy down the road when it comes to opening up all manner of treasure chests. I won't have to craft keys anymore. I also activated the Lumberjacking Obelisk, and this just means that I'm going to get more XP when cutting down trees. Since I didn't have any quarries placed at the moment, I decided to put a quarry down right now. From this quarry, various ores and minerals will spawn, and we can use bombs to very quickly blow all of these ores and minerals up. And I've noticed here that a lot of these minerals I haven't seen before, so it was quite interesting to see all of these new ores and minerals that I could collect, and I'm sure they will come in handy later on. I decided to make a masonry table. Afterwards, I decided to put down another sewing station as well. I then decided to craft a slime bow, which has 3 attack damage and it shoots arrows from your inventory. Back over to the quarry now, I start to harvest some of the ores. The large iron and gold ores take a huge amount of time to mine with a pickaxe. Bombs are definitely the way to go when it comes to getting up all those resources quickly. It's now time to use up some of my spirit orbs, so I'm going to put 1 into health, another into attack damage, and the last into stamina. To catch some more fish and to get some more seaweed, I placed some more fishing traps. I then decided to craft a big backpack. After this, I'm going to head over to the banks to collect the money they've produced. It's definitely worth placing them beside each other when you can see there's a 200 coin difference for the one on its own. Since I've got better money, it's time to purchase another piece of land. I decided to purchase some land here in the Skull biome and also one in the Desert biome. Afterwards, the backpack upgrade finally unlocks, and this is giving me an extra 4 well-needed inventory slots. That's going to come in very handy straight away. I'm going to head on over now and attempt to complete a dungeon here known as the Skull Maze. In here I encountered numerous skeletons, but luckily for me, they're guarding some treasure. Once they're dead, I'm going to loot all of the lovely treasure chests. Because this is a maze and it's very easy to get lost, every torch I pass I'm going to light it so I know exactly where I've been. This also means that I'm always going to go into unexplored rooms, which means more treasures for me, and the more treasures we can get, the better progress we can make. As we can see here, there's tons of small little treasure chests to be had. Each one drops really cool prizes, but that's not the best part of this skull maze. You can also fight large skeletons such as this. Upon defeat, they do drop skeleton skulls, which will come in super handy later on. I also located a blue chest here as well. Inside this one, I got a really cool item known as a necro rod, and this is used to summon skeletons. It doesn't end there though. In the second blue chest, I got another cool item here known as a skull seal, awarded only to those who beat the skull maze. Once I got this, I also got a spirit orb that can be used to increase my stats yet again, and then it teleported me straight out of the maze, which was super helpful because I really didn't want to walk all the way back. I needed giant skulls to upgrade my equipment, so I decided to use the necro rod to keep summoning skeletons. Sometimes a giant skeleton would spawn, and once that skeleton was defeated, I'd be able to get the giant skulls that way, no problem. It did take me quite some time, but we got there in the end. It was now time to get the mining skill, and this will allow for rocks to drop 20% more materials. That's going to come in really handy with the new quarry. Also, I decided to unlock the geology skill, which means all rocks now drop coal. This is going to be a total game changer for us. I've been struggling so much to get coal all the time. Over at the rainbow, I noticed these coloured mushrooms. They were each colour of the rainbow. I decided to strike each one of them in order to display it on the rainbow. And would you look at that, another chest dropped for me. It took me way too long to realise that that was an actual puzzle. I also solved another puzzle accidentally over here by the quarry, where I attacked a statue here with my sword while I was trying to kill a slime. With the giant skull collected, I upgraded my sword to the skull sword. Now the skull sword is just 2.5 attack damage, but it also deals bonus damage to bosses, which was pretty cool. Since I realised that most of the little islands had a puzzle if there was no NPC, I travelled back over to the desert biome, and I shot this one in the eye with my bow and arrow. In a chest, I got an item here called the skeleton mask, which means basic skeletons no longer attack me. I also upgraded my pickaxe here to a skull pick, which has a 2.5 attack damage, and it also deals bonus damage to bosses. But we didn't stop there. I also decided to upgrade my shovel to a water shovel, and this increases my dig area and also waters the ground. So, 2 for the price of 1 right there. That was pretty cool. I also unlocked inscription tablets from the skill tree. I placed down an inscription table here, so I can now start crafting scrolls. But first, what I need to do is craft some paper. I also decided to upgrade my bow here to the golden bow, which has a 4 attack damage, and now arrows will drop coins on impact. Here I'm using my new shovel, and I'm not realising that I no longer need the sprinklers anymore. It'll take me a while to actually realise I don't need them. But the increased dig area is definitely a huge benefit. I decided to plant loads more berries here, as I'm going to need to place fishing traps in each of the biomes. I also ran out of flowers for crafting, so I'm going to plant a few seeds so that I can restock up on the flowers. Now from the berries I got, I was able to place 3 new fishing traps in the desert biome. Not too shabby at all. I'm also going to purchase 2 new pieces of land, which will unlock the snow biome, and this is a brand new biome for us. Over in the snow biome, I came across another puzzle, of course. Only the flower that glows in the dark will awaken the stone princess. Very interesting indeed. At the time, I had no clue how to solve that puzzle. It was time to do some more exploration. Came across another NPC. This NPC was standing beside a giant crystal, and he kept saying that he can't talk right now, friend. So I decided to help him out, and I decided to start mining this crystal as well. After a huge amount of time, I finally managed to destroy this massive giant crystal. It did take me a long duration of time, but once I saw the health bar go down and down, I just had to keep mining it. I did get an absolute ton of rewards, and I also decided to pick up a new skill here called colonization. And this skill means that land is now 30% cheaper, which is a massive reduction indeed. Another star also fell from the sky, so I gave that a harvest, picked up another star fragment. That was quite interesting indeed. Now, I also have a bit more money, so I purchased another few pieces of land. What looks like a dungeon and another obelisk also appeared. The new obelisk is the mining obelisk, and it grants a bonus XP when mining. That was going to be very cool indeed, especially for all the quarries we had laid out. Once I activated that obelisk, it was time to mine up all of the ores in the surrounding area. Once I was finished with these ores, it was time to upgrade our shovel. So we're going to get the next upgrade tier here. This is the Nomad shovel. It can dig a much wider area for us, and digging also yields sand, which is going to come in super handy for us. It was time to unlock a new skill. This time we're going to go with architecture. And one of the main reasons I got this skill is because it offers extra inventory slots in the vaults. I also decided to give the ancient tomb a shot. Now when I entered, it seems to be a puzzle. It looks like I need to move the electric blocks to open the gate. I moved it over to the blue and gold pylon. Once the block made any sort of contact with the grid that's connected to the pylon, the door opened up, and that was the first room of many completed. When I went into the second room, I encountered a new enemy type. Now this enemy went down easy enough. I just had to watch out for the charge attacks. Once that enemy was disposed of, I was able to get into the next room here without much issues. Now these enemies would just rotate continuously in a circle, so I just had to make sure I didn't hit them. I also tried to see if I could kill these enemies with the bow. I could, no problem at all. More resources for me. In the next room there was an enemy here with a charging laser attack. I just had to make sure that laser did not hit me, so I just went back and forward, rolling around, making sure I didn't get hit. That enemy went down no problem at all. I then encountered another little puzzle here. It was just to move the block up to the pylon, and then we got a blue chest. Inside it was a thunder rod. Use it to zap enemies and to power structures. Very interesting indeed. But the fun does not end there. You see, we can use this thunder rod to access more areas of this dungeon that we couldn't access initially because we had to rely on the blocks. This room was fairly simple. All we had to do was defeat those two enemies, and then we could gain access to another room. There was a door just there that opens up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ignore that mineral because I just wanted to get to the end of this dungeon to see what prizes lay ahead. What I saw there now was a skull key. So I used the rod, grabbed the key, and then it was time to go and fight the big boss of this dungeon. Also noting that this was going to be the first big boss in Forager that we were going to fight. Once I used the skull key, I encountered the thunder element. The boss itself has an absolute ton of HP, but in terms of difficulty, it was easy enough to beat. Now the boss has a couple of attacks. It will kind of zigzag around the place, and it will kind of launch these elemental attacks at us. We just had to roll out of the way for those. But the boss will also spawn adds, and those adds will attack us. So the best tactic to use here is to just beat on the boss. When he spawns the adds, we try to kill the adds as quickly as possible, and then we get back on the boss again. Rinse and repeat until the boss's HP turns 0, and we can get the lovely rewards. It got a little bit hairy at the end, but we did get the blue chest. We got the Tomb Raider achievement with a cool costume, and we also get the Ancient Seal, rewarded only to those who beat the Ancient Tomb. We also get a Spirit Orb as an additional reward, and we also upgrade our sword as well to the Crystal Sword, a 3 attack damage and a chance to freeze enemies. Very nice indeed. While I was in the previous dungeon, I found a flower which emitted light. I figured this is what I needed in order to solve the puzzle here in the snow biome, and solve the puzzle I did. As a reward, I received yet another Spirit Orb. Next, I'm going to unlock the Machinery skill, and this will give me access to the Flower Press. Also, my structures have a 10% chance now of crafting double items. So I'm going to craft the Flower Press, and I'm going to place it close here to all my other structures. One of the things you can craft using the Flower Press is a landfill. and this is used to fill gaps where there's currently water, so it's a great way to really expand upon the base, make it bigger. One of the main ingredients for the landfill was sand. Luckily though, I had the Nomad shovel, so I was able to get sand no problem with that. Another main ingredient for landfall is poop, so I decided to craft some animal feed, and now I'm going to go around and feed it to as many cows as possible. Then I unlocked the crystal pickaxe, which means resources and plants have a chance to drop gems. I decided to craft some landfill, and I'm using it just around my structures, removing any bridges that are in my way. Meanwhile, I'll be able to place more structures together. I decided to give the thunder rod a go, and it annihilates resources. To get more poop for my landfill, I need to craft more animal feed. I also need to plant some pumpkins for the museum. So I'm going to dash up my garden area here, and I'm also going to use my thunder rod to harvest them all. It's so satisfying, especially after using my pickaxe to harvest everything. Once my pumpkins are all grown, I'm going to go and complete the farming bundle in the museum. Once that farming bundle has been completed, I'm going to receive the Master Farmer Award, and I'm also going to be given a Spirit Orb. I decided this time to get the Pet skill from the skill tree here. Now, I had been putting this off for quite some time because I didn't really see a good use for the level. But I was granted with a little beat friend, very cute indeed. And basically this pet will just jump around the entirety of our islands and it will just pick up resources for us. It's actually very handy to have it. Later on then another star drops down, so we're able to harvest that and get another star fragment. That was pretty nice. Once that was all done and dusted, I went back to the museum and it was time to complete the mining bundle. And this gives me the Master Miner Award. I also opened up the chest here as well, and I was given a really cool quiver. Bows don't consume arrows anymore. This was so cool. Also, I went outside, the Wandering Trader was back, and I managed to purchase a Spirit Orb, and I also grabbed some Great Skulls while I was at it. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford the Void Steel. I received the Artisan Award for crafting 10,000 items. After that, it's back to the museum again and I finish off the cooking bundle, and this is going to give me the Master Chef reward. I'm also going to use my Spirit Orbs to increase my max health, giving me the Tough Award for having 10 max health in total. Afterwards, I'm going to place down a few more banks, making sure that every time I place a bank down, it's going to be adjacent to the next bank. This will ensure that I get the buff from having adjacent banks. I'm able to place a total of 5 new banks, which is pretty nice. I now have a good bit of money, so I'm going to buy another piece of land. On this piece of land, I meet a new NPC. He's called the Engineer. Now this NPC is extremely rude, but he does have a quest for us, and normally when we're given a quest, it means we are going to get a reward. This Engineer is basically looking for 10 cosmic steels. Thankfully, we have more than 10 in our inventory. We've 19 in total, so we're going to hand those over straight away for the really nice reward. Once we open up the chest, we get awarded with yet another Spirit Orb. Nice one. It was then time to go back to the museum and complete the trapping bundle. Once this bundle was completed, I got the Master Trapper Award. Then I headed off to harvest all of my berries with the Lightning Rod, and the Lightning Rod is just such a game changer when it comes to harvesting things. Once I was finished with the harvest, I decided to upgrade my shovel to the Royal Shovel, and this increases my dig area further, and also digging now yields ores. If we want to start using the factory, the first thing we need to do is unlock the drilling skill. This will give us access to oil, and we need oil if we want to make some plastic. The next thing we're going to do is place 3 oil rigs close enough to the rest of the structures in the water. Once I've done this, I was able to manufacture some plastic in my factory, which is pretty cool. I'm back again, looting all of the gold from my banks because I received a really powerful perk that cuts the cost of land in half. and then go off and purchase many new plots of land as I can while the buff is active. This unlocked a lot of new areas for me, which included some new dungeons, puzzles and chests. I upgraded my wallet to the golden wallet. I then ventured on over to a new island where there was 3 bells beside each other. This was a cool little puzzle where each bell had a certain tone. We just had to figure out what the combination of the tones were, and we'd be able to get the prize then no problem at all. After a few minutes I figured out the combination, and a new chest dropped down, and you could probably guess at this stage what the prize was going to be. Yes, it was a new spirit orb for us, another increase to our lovely stats. On another island, there were these giant piles of bones, so I just mined them, but out popped a giant skeleton. I defeated him pretty easily, thanks to the enchant on my sword. He dropped a skull chest with another spirit orb. I then unlocked the huge backpack, which gave me yet another 4 inventory slots. I also unlocked smelting, so that my furnaces and my forge will work 25% faster. I'm going to place another factory here beside the one that's owned by the engineer. I really don't like how the two of them don't align perfectly on the grid though. Regardless, I'm able to use it to craft some more electronics. It was time for another dungeon. We're going to enter a place here called the Skull Galaxy, and once we went inside we were presented with 4 podiums. Each podium displayed a different message. The first one said, "Gentle enough to suit the skin, strong enough to break stone." I knew straight away that I needed to place some bottled water on the podium. The second podium said, "Alive without breath, cold as death, never thirsty, always drinking." That one was going to be a fish. The next one, "I can fall from great heights and live, but submerged in water I die." That one was paper. And the last, "What force and strength cannot get through, I with my teeth can do." That one would have been a key. So I'm going to scurry off, gather all the items I need, place them on the podiums, and then the rewards are magnificent. Once all items have been placed, I get rewarded with 4 small chests and a big blue one. I also get the Skull Astronomer achievement here. The rewards on a cool skin. I also get the Skull Galaxy seal, and we also get a spirit orb that we can use to increase one of our stats. It was time for a tool upgrade. I upgraded my shovel to the robotic shovel, which means we will always yield rare items. Next, we're going to head off to the Crystal Cave and I'm presented with yet another puzzle. This one seems to be pretty straightforward though. I need to move the light beam through the crystals to melt the ice. I came along and encountered this railroad that was blocked with crystals. I had to clear them to be able to unlock the next area. I then used the minecart to be able to travel up to the next area, and I'm grizzled with more enemies. These enemies are really handy because they drop leather, and leather's something I need all the time. I came across another little puzzle here where the beam is on a minecart. I cleared its path and then sent it down, and as a result I received the ice rod. The ice rod is used to freeze items and enemies. I can use it to freeze this flame here so that I can free the skull key and I can enter the boss room. Once I enter, I'm confronted with the ice wizard. Luckily this boss doesn't spawn additional enemies, but it does shoot icicles at you that can freeze you in place. In my opinion, this boss is much easier than the first because he doesn't spawn any adds. All we have to do is just dodge the icicles and attack him. Once the boss is defeated, he will drop a lovely blue chest for us. Once we open up this chest, we are going to get the icebreaker rewards for completing the ice cave. But we're also going to receive a spirit orb also, which we can use to increase our stats. In the fire biome, I can now use the ice rod to freeze these chests, which I couldn't access previously because they were on fire. The ice rod puts out the fire and now I can access the treasures within. With all of the money I have available right now, I decided to purchase even more land down in the fire biome. Once this is done, I discover a wizard tower. So I speak with the wizard and he informs me that yet again, he needs me to go on a quest to fetch items. He tells me that he has a special reward for me, which is his super special magic scepter. He's looking for 20 cinder blooms though. so I hand them over straight away because I happen to have them on me. He informs me that I still need to go get more items, but he gives me a load of potions. When I speak to him again, he tells me that he's looking for 5-star fragments. Luckily for me, I also have these, so I give him the fragments straight away. After this, he only has one more quest for me. Before he'll give me his scepter though, he drops a lot of scrolls, which should come in handy down the road, but then tells me that he needs a void steel. This I definitely don't have because I don't have it unlocked yet. I totally forgot about the druid up in the grass biome. I went up to him straight away, handed him the dinosaur egg that I got previously, and he told me he's going to name the dinosaur Tony, which I thought was pretty cute. As a reward, he gives me 2 small chests. I was hoping for something better, but I'll take what I'm given at this stage of the game. I decided to use one of the potions that the wizard gave me, and this potion will increase my luck. This means resources will drop double items and increase the chance of finding rare items. The reason why I took this potion was because I needed some more archaeology items to complete museum bundles, so I'm hoping after all of this harvesting I might get something that I need for the museum. It was time for a tool upgrade. I unlocked the demon pickaxe, which gives it 3.5 damage but also burns resources. I placed another few fishing traps here in the skull biome to hopefully catch some archaeology items. I also updated my wallet to the skull wallet, which means coins are now worth 75% more. I'm also going to go ahead and update my sword to the demon sword, which gives a 3.5 attack and also burns enemies. I'm also going to place more efficient traps in the fire and snow biomes again, hoping to get those items that I'm missing for the museum. I think these items may prove difficult to find. Back to my farming area, and I finally removed those unneeded sprinklers. I planted as many berry plants as I could fit to try to get more resources to build more fish traps. I'm also going to unlock a skill here that unlocks expert level scrolls and potions. I have a lot of cash now. I actually have 38,000, so I'm going to head up and buy as much land as I can, unlocking more snow biomes, and as we can see, there's going to be a ton of new content here for us to explore and figure out. I also unlocked a new NPC and a new tower. On one of the new islands, there was a frozen chest, so I attacked it with my demon pickaxe, which set it on fire. The fire was able to melt the ice, and now I can access the chest. Within the chest was a shield artifact that gives a 25% chance to dodge attacks. I went over and spoke to a guy here in a fox costume. He tells me he needs poop, like a lot of poop. Honestly, he looks like the dwarf from Stardew Valley. Definitely. Strangely enough, he won't tell me why he needs it. I really do worry about some of these NPCs in the game, you know? I only have the one, so he's going to be waiting a while for me to gather 500 poop for him. I'm going to head back into the museum now and complete a few more bundles. I completed the Forager bundle, giving me the Master Forager award. I'm also going to get a spirit orb for that as well. I'll then unlock the crystal wallet, meaning coins are now worth 100% more. Because of this, I decided to place another few banks. My money does seem to be exponentially increasing, which is great. Somehow, I managed to not speak to the NPC inside this museum, but when I did, I received an award for speaking to all of the NPCs. It's now time to pump this cow full of food so that I can gain the 500 poop to give to that lovely dwarf from Stardew Valley and get my reward. I still have no idea why he wants so much poop. I'm sure we'll find out eventually, hopefully anyway. Once I handed over all the poop, I got the Fox Helper rewards, and I was also given the Merchant's Medallion, which was pretty cool. Now, this means whenever there's a merchant on the map, an arrow will show me where the merchant is located. And also, the markets will restock 25% quicker. There were some pretty good perks right there. The fox then decides to tell me a joke. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. Here, this one's on me. He gave me one single brick. How annoying is that? I decided to head off and try my hand at the fire temple. In here I encountered new enemies, but they were pretty easy to kill. The freezing enchant on my sword is really handy to stop enemies in their tracks. I also came across a new puzzle here where there were 6 switches, but unfortunately I didn't know the answer. I did locate a blue key, which I'm guessing will open a blue door. Once I opened up the blue door with the blue key, I came across an enemy here. Once I dispatched this enemy, I managed to get the red key. This means I can now open up the red door and venture even further into the dungeon. Once I got into the room, I managed to pick up the green key, so it was then time to look for the green door. Once the green door was opened, I got a blue chest. Inside was a really cool item here known as the fire rod. Use it to blast objects and enemies. I used the rod to blast open a door here. Once all of the vines were gone, I managed to locate the solution here to that switch puzzle that we got stuck on a few minutes ago when we first started this dungeon. Once the puzzle was completed, 3 small chests spawned up for us. That was a lot more rewards for us. But the dungeon doesn't end there. A new room has unlocked for us. Once we entered this room, we were able to nab the boss key. That means we get to fight the big bad boss of this dungeon and claim much greater rewards. In here, I encountered the Great Demon. He summons the fire skulls, which shoot balls of fire, so it's very important we dodge those, otherwise we're going to end up taking way too much damage. After a while, the tactic was simple. It was just kill the ads when they were summoned, and then all damage goes onto the boss. Every time he summons an ad, we just have to prioritize it. The boss eventually gets defeated, and then we're awarded with some really cool items. Once the boss has been defeated, we get the Demon Hunter award, which unlocks a pretty cool skin. We also get the Fire Seal, and we always get the Spirit Orb as well, which is nice for the stats. Just to the left of the island with the bells puzzle, I discovered another puzzle with 4 podiums. Each podium had a coloured shape. This one was pretty straightforward. I added the corresponding coloured gem to each podium, and I was rewarded with another big chest. I received another Spirit Orb for solving the puzzle, which was really nice. I also decided it was time to place another factory. I think I'm going to need a few of these, as each item crafted in the factory takes considerably longer than all other items in the game. Because I had the resources, I'm going to place an additional 5 factories down. This gives me a total of 7 factories to work with, and hopefully that's going to keep me going for a good while. The next thing I'm going to do is unlock the ammunition skill. Now this is going to give me access to mining rods, and now crafted items will collect themselves, which is a bit of a game changer. I also picked up a skill here called Spellbind, and this means buffs will now last 50% longer. That's going to come in super handy. I'm also going to place some mining rods over by the quarry here. This means I'll no longer have to come over and manually mine ores when they spawn. The rods will sort that out for me. I also decided to add some here in the fire biome, because any resources that spawn in this area, the rods will also take care of those. It just means more resources for me. I'm also going to place a ballista here close to my factories, and I also purchased 2 new banks. Once the banks have been placed, I'm going to purchase the next available piece of land in the fire biome. And once that land has been unlocked, it looks like another puzzle for me. After a minute or so, I figured out and received 4 small chests and a large chest. I love those large chests so much. In the large chest, I received the Vampire Wing, giving me a 30% chance to recover health when killing enemies. I'm now finally learning Transmutation. I mainly want this to unlock the Void Steel, which I need for the quest. I then headed over to the ice biome to try to complete the Frozen Galaxy puzzle. When I entered, there were 5 monitors with symbols displayed underneath each of them. Looking at the code, it looks like binary, so I took out my great binary calculator, thank you very much Google. I calculated what each code would be in numbers. I did do binary in college years ago, but I just couldn't remember it for the life of me, because I haven't used it in years. The first one was 5, followed by 3, then 4, then 2, and finally the number 4. Lucky for me, this was the solution, and I was awarded with a large chest. For completing the puzzle, I received the Frozen Galaxy seal, which was pretty nice. And normally when we get seals, it's always followed by a lovely Spirit Orb as well, which means A lovely stat increase for us. It was now time to look at our lovely skills. There was one skill that I was looking at for a while. I decided to grab it. This was going to be the summoning skill. It was now time to make our sigil maker table. We're going to put it just beneath the fountain there. And we're going to use the sigil maker to craft a void portal. So I'm going to put down the void portal. I'm going to enter. And when I entered, I was faced with a really cool challenge here. The challenge was to defeat all enemies before the time ran out. I was given 2.5 minutes to kill 12 enemies. There was also these large nodes that I hadn't come across before, so I just had to destroy one to see what it dropped. I knew it was wasting time, but curiosity got the better of me. From breaking open the nodes, I got a resource here known as a void stone. I'm going to guess that this can be processed further into void steel. When I got to floor number 5, I got an achievement here called Void Scout. The reward was a really cool panda outfit skin. Once all of the enemies were dealt with on this floor, because it was the 5th floor, I got a really cool chest drop. And this chest drops because I made it to floor 5 and I cleared the floor within the time frame. Inside the chest I received some void stones. I also got an onyx relic, some void roses, uranium and toxic sludge. I then reached level 10, which was the first level I've reached that spawns bosses. These thunder bosses continuously spawned enemies until they were defeated. They were pretty tough to deal with. The counter kept going up. Unfortunately, by the time the timer ran out, there was still over 20 enemies which I hadn't killed, so I was booted out of the void. I'll just have to give it another go later on. Now that I had some void stones, I decided it was time to start placing some spirit forges. I'm really hoping here that when these forges are put down, I'll be able to craft some void steel. I didn't have the mats to craft any void steel, but I could craft some great skulls. At this point, I realised I hadn't crafted any gloves or boots. I unlocked the slime gloves and boots, and I also unlocked the tycoon backpack, which gives me an extra 4 inventory slots. If I had known that the gloves gave increased attack damage and the boots gave increased movement speed, I would have had prioritised those much earlier than I did. I did spend a few days crafting the best ones that I could, and then I re-entered the void. This time I did much better against enemies in the void. I managed to get to level 9 again, but when I got to 9 I encountered 3 bosses together. I decided to focus my time on killing the bosses before the others. I managed to make it to level 14 this time, but when I got up to this level I was confronted with the ice boss. Again, I tried my best to take out as many enemies as I could. I do love that my sword has the ability to freeze enemies and I have an increased dodge chance. However, these guys had a lot more health than the previous enemies. By the time I had taken them out, I just ran out of time before making it to the last few I needed to kill to clear the floor. When my run was finished, I reached level 14. Then it showed me the leaderboard. I had no idea how these people could possibly get to the levels that are listed here. When I came out, I decided to craft demon boots, giving me 50% increased speed. I also discovered a puzzle that I had yet to complete. I must have missed this one as I unlocked the area ages ago. Next, I finally unlocked gambling, which gave me access to slot machines. This is another skill that I had on the long finger because I was unsure on how valuable it would be. I decided to give it a go with the slots, and my first time I won some steel. I also got the achievement for winning at the slots, so it was pretty cool. Next up, I decided to finally buy a droid from the market to see what it did. And I got this cool pink dog with sunglasses. Next, I unlocked the demon wallet, meaning coins are worth 125% more. I also got the demon gloves. This means an increase to my attack speed, which is always a good thing, of course. Using the slot machine, I was able to get some of the archaeology items which I didn't have yet, and that was going to be a huge game changer for me. Off over to the spirit forges now, and I'm going to craft some void steel. Another thing I wish I knew earlier was about crafting books. If I crafted these books earlier, I think I would have gained levels a lot quicker. The first thing I decided to update to void was my pickaxe. I now have a 4 attack damage, and resources and plants explode when destroyed. I also unlocked the Slime Tome, then I also got the Necromicon, increasing XP by 45%. I finally figured out what to do with the bottled rainbows. I fed it to one of my pets and he is now prismatic, which was pretty cool. I placed another quarry over in the skull biome with the mining rod, and thanks to the slot machine I was able to complete the archaeology bundle, finally inside the museum. That's one more spirit orb for the road. It was then on to the next bundle. Because I had the resources on hand, I also decided to complete the alchemist bundle. I was then able to craft glacial scriptures, increasing my XP gained by 60%. We weren't going to stop there though. We could complete even more bundles because of the resources we had attained. Back to the museum, and it was the building bundle this time. This means all bundles are now complete. What an achievement, and of course more spirited orbs for us. The more stat increases, the better. It was then time to head on down and have a chat with Forager's version of Gunther from Stardew Valley. He says this is magnificent, and he will of course spawn a chest for us. Upon opening the chest, we get a cool item here known as the Museum Seal, rewarded only to those who had completed all museum bundles. So I crafted Hellfire Glyphs today, so I'm going to get more XP from that. I needed a lot of leather for crafting, so I used this scroll to turn tons of objects into animals, and I have to say, it was great fun to just slay them all. I then went to the skill tree and I unlocked lasers, which means mining rods and droids deal double damage. Once that was done, I then went into the engineering skill and I unlocked that, meaning industrial structures will now work 25% faster. And this is definitely needed, as factories take so long to craft items. It also unlocks droids and EMP grenades. That's going to be very interesting as well. Once this was done, I wasn't finished just yet. I'm going to unlock one more thing here now today, and that's going to be the astrology skill. And this is a very important one because this unlocks cosmic steel and stars will fall more frequently. Since I've crafted some void steel, I decided to give 10 to the wizard here. Once he got the void steel, he then gave me the super special magic scepter. He then claimed he could have gotten the stuff for himself, and the scepter was worth more than all of it. Once all was said and done, the wizard then dropped the chest. Upon opening the chest, I then gained the magic scepter, meaning my rods now have an infinite charge. So I can basically take out any of my rods and I can just run around the map and I can just literally forage everything with them, not worrying about charging the rods at all. So it's a total game changer to get that now as part of the challenge. I also crafted the Death Rod, which is the upgraded version of the Necro Rod. This spawns multiple skeletons at once. So I'm using some landfill here to be able to fill in some areas of water, as eventually all areas need to be filled in. I decided to place another quarry over here, by where I placed my void portal. I was then greeted by the wandering trader, who had some kraken eyes which I'm trying to collect to upgrade my void sword. I also now have enough resources to craft the void sword. I also have enough resources to craft the void guide. Now in the ice biome, I found an area with lots of resources, so I used another scroll to turn all these resources into animals, so that I could slay them to get loads of hide. My void guide is finally ready, and my XP gained is now increased by 90%, which is really nice. The next award I got was the Wealthy Achievement for having 100,000 gold coins. With those 100,000 gold coins, I'm going to buy more plots of land. It was time to enter the Fire Galaxy to attempt to complete the Fire Galaxy puzzle. I'm not going to lie, this was very difficult and I spent way longer than I should have when it came to solving it. But eventually I got there and I was awarded with 4 small chests and a large chest. I did receive the Fire Galaxy seal, which was very nice, and that was actually the last seal I needed. Shortly after, I got a really cool achievement called Seal Collector, and that also unlocked a really cool skin for my character as well. So I was super happy with that, and it was a great achievement. It was then time to purchase up the last 3 pieces of land that I needed to unlock the whole map. I had enough coins to do it, so we might as well give it a go. I also received the Imperialist Award. Also, up in the ice biome, I decided to kill the magical deer. For doing this, I received the Greedy Awards. I also encountered another NPC I could speak to, and this guy has decided he wants to challenge me to a fight. He says, if I win, I'll get a rare treasure. Before I could fight him, I had to do a very simple quest. He wanted me to go bring him 10 bones, which seems pretty cheap. Not knowing what to expect, I placed a ballista just in case I needed it. I gave him the bones, and it was only him and 4 others. I was way over prepared for this fight. When I beat him, I got the fishing net, which is a total game changer. This means fishing traps now collect themselves. Back in the fire biome, I decided to complete this puzzle. For this puzzle, I had to travel around the islands to determine the order in which I pressed the switches. I entered a tomb in the desert biome, and when I left, I received the Holy Relic. Again, another thing I would have prioritized if I had known the importance of them is the amulets. At this stage, I crafted all of the amulets up to the Void Amulet, meaning I gained 150% extra resources. Star fragments seem to be falling a lot more frequently, which is great for us, so we're going to mine those up. The more star fragments we can get, the better. I decided to put down another market so that I'd have greater options of stuff to buy. At the market, I purchased the electronics and empty jars. I need more items to upgrade my lightning rod though, so I need to amass hundreds of berries so I can place more efficient traps in the desert biome. When I harvested them, I was able to place a total of 13 new fishing traps over in the desert biome. Because fishing traps now collect themselves, I should have the items I need fairly quickly. I decided to unlock the optics skill, which unlocks lighthouses and doubles my light radius. This is actually really helpful. I'm going to place 2 lighthouses. One here beside all of my crafting machines, and I'm going to place the other over in the skull biome. I decided I'd use some scrolls to summon some fallen stars. Little did I know, this was a big mistake, and it took me a minute to realise just what had happened. It turns out that when you spawn stars, they can actually destroy structures. And I lost so much from it. I lost 4 banks in total from falling stars. I really wasn't impressed when I realised the mistake I'd made. I'd harvested the stars for the star fragments, and I decided to move to a remote area to use the rest of the scrolls. I won't be making that mistake again. I crafted some more landfill, so I began filling as much water as I could. I filled in a large section between the grass and the fire biome. The next thing, I unlocked the destruction skill, which deals 25% extra damage to bosses. That will go a long way. I also decided to craft a few extra droids for a bit of passive damage. When they were all done, I decided it was time to summon a boss. I used a few potions here to increase my attack damage and to increase my chances of dodging attacks. The first boss I decided to summon was the Slime King. Between the ballistas I placed and my own attack damage, the Slime King and his little slime friends that he spawned just didn't stand much of a chance. At least from this, I'll gain a lot of slime, which I need for crafting. After defeating the Slime King, I decided to take on the Toxic Guardian. While my buffs were still active, again this boss didn't present me with a huge challenge, and after a minute or two, he was defeated easy enough. Once he was defeated, I received the Toxic Vanquisher award. At the Spirit Forge, I can finally craft the Storm Rod. This is much more powerful than the Thunder Rod. Also, I changed my look to make me resemble an anime character. If you know who it is, just comment their name down below. Using the Storm Rod with the unlimited charge, it's just so much fun. It literally cuts through everything near you in a matter of seconds. And that's it, my 100 days of Forager. Just look in here at what I achieved in the 100 days. I unlocked almost everything, bar one, which was the Obliterator that required cosmic steel to craft. I unlocked all of the accessories, all of the seals, all of the artifacts. I found all 46 treasures, and I also unlocked the majority of the skills tree, but there's still a few skills left in there that I still have to unlock. I feel like if I had known about the books earlier, I could have unlocked a lot more skills. As you can see, I have a lot of the feats completed with 75 out of 103, but there are a few that I've not completed yet. So if you'd like to see a 100% completion video where I work to complete the rest of these feats, let me know in the comments below. I really enjoyed completing this 100 days of Forager. It was a nice break from my usual Stardew Valley content, and I think in the future I might try out some other cozy games. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next upload. Again, thanks so much for watching and for making it this far. I'll see you in the next video. And a huge thanks to all of my YouTube members. I really do appreciate your support.